I know. That's what they said. They just enjoy the journey.
That's exactly right. So, Wayne, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Wayne Marshall. I am the recent CEO at the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. Started coaching a little bit, doing some things, and for some reason they decided maybe I'd be a better CEO for them and help them go to where they want to go.
For sure.
So it's been exciting. I've only been a couple days ago. I was 7 months in to this new position.
Yeah. And so you started as kind of like, I guess the best way to do that is you tell us a little bit about your history, because you started as more of a coach that was going to teach some of these guys that were really looking to take things to the next level. So how'd you get involved, and what's your background? What's your history?
So I spent 25, give or take, years in the automotive space as a supplier vendor too. So did a lot of work with some of the big parts people. In 2011, I started my own company, a marketing company that I grew and did a lot of work with some of the different people, affiliates too, but also the marketing company worked with other people outside of the automotive space. I was getting older, and I was getting to that point of like, well, I got to kind of figure out, as we even tell those in the automotive space, what's your transition? What's your plan for what's the next step? So I did bring in another partner to eventually buy me out. And get me out of that space, and I was going to go ahead and retire. So I did that almost 3 years ago. I spent about 1 year doing a little bit of side work for some people, helping here and there, and find out I couldn't be retired.
Just too much energy that had to be expelled somewhere.
And my wife even said, look, you need to go back to work, because there was just too many things. So it's been almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I went to Vision, just to go back and meet some of the friends, see the people more socially, to just reconnect. And I was looking at the possibility, because I do enjoy, and I did have another company that I still do a little with, as Cecil and the People Institute know, where I was doing some other consulting, M&A work and what have you. But I said, why can't I give something back to an industry that I value and appreciate, even though I was never a tech. I'm a hobby guy. So I have my own shop and everything. But I started talking to some of the other coaching companies. I knew some of the folks at the Institute. We talked more, and I said, well, I like what you're doing, especially. I mean, not that there aren't others good ones, but I really like how you're approaching what you're trying to do. I really like what you say in better life, better business, and better industry.
For sure.
So I just said, hey, I'll happily coach some on the side just to keep me busy and engaged. Because I've done CEO consulting and coaching, Cecil said, hey, will you work with me a little bit? There's some things I want to do. And when we started talking and laying out a vision, he says, I think maybe you can help us go to the next level and do some of these things that we really want to do. Would you consider maybe coming back to work full time and being our CEO? The rest is history. February 22nd, cool. I went to Utah and been doing it since.
So, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and I was going to ask you whether we recorded a podcast or not, a little bit of that conversation, because Cecil and I have had some conversations where he's been really vulnerable about some of this, right? And one of the things I'm curious about, because I see some similarities in the way Cecil is and the way I am, is like letting go of that baby, right? Like, this is my child. This is my baby. I care very much about it. And he had tried that multiple times, right? What was it that you think is different that you were able to help him kind of let go of some of that? I know he's still involved. I'm not saying he's not involved.
He's very involved,
But it was really tough for him to kind of back away and say, you take the reins, you take this and run with it. What do you think the difference was?
I know people, I say this, I'm even older than Cecil. So there's a little bit of been there, done that, got the souvenir T-shirt. I've bought and sold business. I've, real estate. I can go through a list of things I've done. And I've been blessed to get a lot of those experiences in my past life and industry and work that I've done in my career up to this point. So we also talked about scaling the future, other people. And as I keep telling all the staff, it's about building our bench. The Institute's got a very aggressive growth plan now if we're going to reach the levels we want to reach, we have to have the people that have filled the vacuum or the void behind as we move forward.
Right.
And the only way that's going to happen is it's not just Cecil, it's myself and others. We have to let go. We have to entrust staff to rise up and to do. And it's no different what we even tell our coaching clients. As you start to scale and you say, well, I want to be a bigger shop. Great. But the only way you're going to do that is if you entrust certain tasks and responsibilities and you get scared because of the failure. And you've heard this before, but when they say fail, it's really the first act of, intentional learning to grow and change. It's not failure. It's just a way to learn and teach and grow. And if we don't give people an opportunity to do it, they'll never grow and be, and you'll never know what you have or don't have. So if we're going to build that bench, Cecil, as he is now, he isn't yet, but he'll be turning, 65 here in about 6-7 months.
Yeah.
What's it going to be? There is a point where we all have to be able to entrust others to take it to the next level.
Right.
So we're going to have to stop and say, okay, he and I and others within the leadership of the company, we have to build a better foundation. We have to start with really stopping and looking at what it takes to structure for success. And it's no different. I don't care if you're a 2 or a 3-person shop or if you have 10 shops or more. You still have to have a certain level of what I refer to as just governance, and that's structure. Are we structured right? Are we structured right legally? Are we structured right financially? Are we structured, in certain ways? Do we have the right relationship with the banks? Do we have the right payroll company, benefits company? And we went through the whole list of things, because if you don't build a good foundation and you start layering more and more on, what happens when that building gets taller? It tips over much easier.
Do you think that it's easier as, not just in experience, but do you think it was easier for you to see some of those things because you hadn't been there, you hadn't looked at it, and then you come in and you see,
most definitely.
Oh man, we got this over here and that over there.
I don't have any of the legacy ties to what we did 5 years ago or 3 years ago or even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We can sit here and start having a good conversation. And again, I like to continually, because I'm still coaching too, as Cecil is. I don't have a lot of coaching clients, but we want to keep that connection to what's going on in the industry. I love talking to these people and listening to what they're trying to do and say, it doesn't make a difference if you got 1 shop, 2 or 10. Some of the fundamentals and the rules are all the same.
For sure.
And we try to make it more complicated than it really needs to be, and being able to sit here and say that if you're going to grow, and this is what I told Cecil coming in, is you're right. You're going to have to let go of certain things.
Yeah.
Shop owners, you might be the best tech. You might be the best diagnostics. But if you are, then you're going to have the second best because you can coach them up. You can teach them to be just like you.
For sure.
And if we don't do that for this industry and build up that generation behind us.
Yeah. Begin to develop it underneath us, develop the ranks.
What are we going to have in another 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, for sure.
You're seeing it. You talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And this is where we have to get better at paying it forward.
Yeah.
Not only us other coaching companies and other vendors and other people, we all have a responsibility to really try to help more and move this forward, because it's going to catch us one day, and it's going to be hard to catch it up and get it back to where it should be if we don't start today.
I agree with you. And one of the things that Cecil's always said, as long as I've known Cecil, he said, I've got a couple rules, and one of my rules is everybody wins.
Yep.
The tech wins, the advisor wins, the shop wins, the institute wins, the institute's employees win, the owner wins. Everybody has to win for this to work. Is that still kind of the premise you're going with? And it sounds like it is, based on what you just said.
Oh, yes.
Because we want everybody to win.
Have to. I've one of the other things I've worked hard to do is reach out and talk to some of the other CEO or presidents of some of the different vendor partners that we have, and listening to what are some of your challenges. How can we do better together than doing everything we tend to do on individual basis?
Right.
And the more we can figure out ways to come together, to be a better, stronger voice, to be an innovative voice, a leading voice, besides some of the other voices that are out, because we can do more together than we can ever do on an individual basis.
Right.
And to me, and this is kind of, I guess, what I'm trying to work hard for, not only for us, but the other CEOs and that I've been visiting with, is, what are some ways that we can do this and this? And even if it doesn't help us, but if it helps you, it's still helping the industry.
Right.
Because if we do the right thing, and even it might help, just for example, take one of the software companies, shop management software companies. We got in a great conversation, and even if it helps them and they grow and they prosper and they make a difference in this industry, it will trickle down and help the Institute. It's going to help others.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not about what can you do for me or what can we do for you, what can we do for the industry.
As a
and
whole.
if we truly move the needle, how are we not all going to win?
Well, so the Institute is a very unique offering when it comes to a training and coaching company, right? Like it's very unique compared to some of the others, because one of the things that I learned is, hey, I've got my manager coaching with the Institute.
Right.
I can have my advisor coaching with the Institute. I can be coaching with the Institute. And it creates this very uniform belief system in the business, right? Because we're all teaching under the same premise. Right, because while you've got coaches who have different perspectives and different ideas, there's a solid set of premise that we follow as the Institute, and it's very consistent from genre to genre, so manager to advisor to owner to each piece. Tell us a little bit about where the Institute's going from here.
So one of the things that we talk and we preach a lot internally is we need to meet people where they're at.
Okay.
And just as you said, we talked about different programs. You just talked about the different ones that we do, and there's more above and beyond that.
Yeah.
But you can meet someone who is that smaller shop, or maybe they're really good here, but they need help here. Right. Or maybe they don't even need much. They just need a little bit of a tune-up, so to speak.
Yeah.
We need to meet them where they're at. And just because they're not to this level or that level doesn't mean we can't help and lift up and or create different things for them that bridges that gap to wherever they want to be. And eventually there's going to come a point, and you see it, we all see it. There's a lot of shop owners out there that are 55 and older that are trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
And like, I'll just, no names, but I'm thinking of some of the different people that I'm working with on very specific things.
Right.
And it really comes down to, what is that legacy going to be? What is the what's next?
Right.
And when I get into these conversations and I start asking, where do you think you want to go? What do you want to do next with your business and this and that? And they're like, well, I never really thought about it. Well, what about, the 7, 8, maybe 10 people that all work for you, their families are counting on you to make a decision that can hopefully keep their jobs. Now, maybe it isn't you owning it. Maybe it's a family member taking it over. But if the family member's taking it over, do they have the knowledge and experience and the resources and tools to continue to succeed or grow it? Because you got 8, 9 families dependent on you.
Right, for sure. Absolutely.
And if you do sell it to a good owner who's going to have that same level of accountability and responsibility to the community, again, to protect those families.
Yeah.
That's a heavy burden. And when you get into those conversations, I've had guys go, man, never really thought about it that way. I don't know what to do. Okay. Yeah. You can't do it in a year. It's going to take you 2, 3 or more years to really work it through, to get everything right with your processes, your procedures, your books, your accounting. I can go on and on of just getting it in a healthy spot that you get the return on investment for your 25 or 30 years of sweat equity.
Right.
That all of a sudden you've done it well. It's got so many value drivers of why it's a good business, because you have done it well. And when you get ready to sell it to your service advisor, lead person, or general manager, or another person in town, they'll give you a nice fare and not just buy or sell it because you didn't know what to do or you didn't know what you had.
And that happens all too often. They wait to the very end. Much. And they say, oh, I don't have a choice. I have to do this. And, I've shared before that my journey in the industry is very similar to that, because it was, well, I want to be the technician. And then eventually, sooner or later, it was like, this isn't working, right? Yeah. I'm not the best technician out there. And I'm not doing as good of a job as I could be doing. And so I'm not very efficient. I'm not very productive. So maybe I should hire a technician. I'll become the service advisor. And then after a few years, because I always said, hey, I will be the service advisor. I'm going to be the service advisor. Nobody's taking that role because I want my clients treated a very specific way. Well, guess what? After a few years of that, I wasn't making any money because I was giving all the money away. And so after a few years, I said, hey, now we're going into these 10 bays. I can't manage all this by myself.
Nope.
I have to hire a manager. I have to hire somebody that can handle some of this. And so that woke me up to this concept of like, well, I've always said I'll never sell. I've always said that I'll never retire and I'll never do this. I'll just work till the end. Well, wait a minute. What if I don't have an option? What if I don't feel like that in 10 years? Right? Because we and even as far as how the business is set up when we initially incorporate the business and begin the process of going through business ownership.
Yep.
Right? We didn't ever know that. We knew how to work on cars. Yep. And so we didn't ever set the business up like that. We said, well, we'll just work on cars. But what happens when it shifts and it moves and it develops? Well, if we have somebody in our corner that can help us develop that pathway, right? And it doesn't mean, I think that technicians turned shop owners take that very seriously. And they almost feel like it's, hey, you're taking something away from me when you try to encourage them to plan that out. Well, I don't want to do that. I'll never do that. Well, but hold on now. You don't know what the future looks like, and you don't know what it feels like to own this bad boy for 15 years, right?
Well, you know, we're all, you hate to say it this way, but we're all a doctor's visit away. They're going, hey, you know, Lucas, you're doing good, but we found this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that changes your whole focus of what's next. And we all go, I mean, as I get older, I look at it and it's like, you know, I'm feeling great. I'm going to do, I don't know. You don't know what 5 years from now is going to bring for any of us.
For sure.
So if you don't think a little bit about it, and as I tell some of our coaching clients that we're talking specifically about setting them up correctly for selling or buying others or whatever you're trying to do, you need to kind of think about it in the context of, if this would happen, I want to have the right options in front of me. I'm not doing it out of necessity or fire sale, but if I build it right and I start to develop the right foundation today, if in 3 years I want to sell or I don't want to sell, it doesn't matter because I still set it up for success either way.
Right.
And there's been too many places I've watched. You hear the stories. You know, the husband was working, doing great. All of a sudden an illness came, had a heart attack, died. Wife doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
The things weren't, and nothing was in place to give it any kind of legacy or succession.
Yeah, no structure, no anything.
So all they're doing is selling the tools off, and they have no idea what the tools are worth or anything else, and it's going for pennies on the dollar of what it probably should have, and that's sad. It
is, and you know, I'm going to tell you, I'm behind the curve, and I didn't realize how much behind the curve I was until my mom passed away. And then now we're trying to step in and we're trying to manage this business with them, right? With my dad and the rest of the family.
Yes.
And it's a realization like, hey, we don't have the data. We don't have the information. We don't have this bank account. What about this login? What about that login? There was no structure to that.
Right.
And oftentimes we look at it and we say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'll work on it later.
Yep.
But holy cow. I mean, like if you are a parent and you own a business and you think there's a chance, even the slightest chance, is 0.001%, that something may happen to you. You have a responsibility for your children and for whoever may have to come in and take over that business.
Correct.
To have something documented, have some type of strategy so they can access those things, so they can do the things they need to do, right?
Yep.
And you know, one of the things I've noticed about this is like, well, my dad had, you know, he was married to my mom, and so they didn't need a power of attorney over each other, right? But then what happens when mom's gone, and now we don't have somebody with power of attorney over my dad, and so like there's this whole different gambit of challenges that you have to navigate through. What are these things looking like in your business right now? Because nobody plans for it to happen, right?
And there's so many easy ways. You know, one of the things, I did it when I had my own business. There was a couple things I did that I'm a firm believer, but I tell everybody I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant. Please seek professional, you know, guidance when it comes to this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I had my own business, by the time I sold, we were doing about 10 million in revenue.
Wow.
I had offices in 4 states. Okay. So, I mean, we had a lot going on. I had a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
I basically had 2 envelopes, and I had one envelope, and I had another partner in and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like if something happened, and I ended up in the hospital, which unfortunately I ended up with a rare infection and ended up in the hospital for 5 days, open this envelope. This is some of the daily stuff just in case, because you never know.
Yeah.
And it had bank information. It had some other things just so you can continue succession of business.
Yeah.
Then I had another envelope that if the really bad happened and I'm not on this earth, you better open this one.
Yeah.
Because this had, and then the other thing I did that has worked, my parents did it. I've seen others. Attorney told me to do it. I did a successor trust.
Okay.
And basically what it is, it had my mom and dad on the trust. They were trustees of the trust. When one died, myself as a child, I became co-trustee now with the living parent.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, when that parent dies, you become the trustee. Now you don't worry about any of this stuff from a transition standpoint.
That's a good idea.
And it worked very, very well with my parents. My mom passed away first. So then I became co-trustee with my dad.
Right.
Now, all that type of stuff you just talked about, it's all taken care of, and it's all been defined out. I've done the same with my wife and I, and our kids. If something happens with one of us, one of my kids come in as now co-trustee with the living parent.
Right.
If something happens to the last parent, now they just become the trustee. You get the continuation. You don't run through all of those hoops that you got to do. But there's good professional help that can help you keep that really clean and easy.
For sure. Well, I mean, I think that so many shop owners never even considered that. Never thought anything about it.
No.
So
we all think we're going to live forever.
Right. Well, and I mean, until you get into some type of coaching, until you get into somebody that's been there, done that, and they look at the business and they start to ask questions, you may never realize that we're not set up correctly.
Yeah.
You may never catch on to the fact, hey, this isn't working like it's supposed to be. When you look at the Institute, say 5-10 years from now, what do you envision the Institute being?
5-10 years? Well, 5 years, I probably won't be there.
Okay.
I'll still be helping and counseling on the outside, but I don't want to be working as much as I'm working today. We have some really aggressive goals. I mean, we've got things that if we can get it done, we will probably 4 times our revenue by the end of next year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. There are announcements that'll be coming and things we're going to be doing that are going to be really significant. And who knows? I mean, it could be very, very large, doing many other things besides just what we're doing in the coaching.
Right.
There's just so many different needs.
Yeah.
The biggest, going back to some of what you just said about, where we go. I mean, there's a group of us that are in our 60s. We're not the future. We're the present.
Yeah.
We're building our bench. Some of the younger, the 40-year-olds and unders in our company. I keep telling them every day, you guys are our future. Our job is to build you up to be the next whatever we need as it comes. And it would thrill me to see people like, Aaron, who and others really take it to that next level. And who knows where that is? Is that 50, 100 million? Yeah, very possible. Very possible. But the biggest thing is what do we need to do to teach, share, educate? And as I have made the comment to a couple of different people, right when I started in this business with the Institute, at my age, I know I've got 3 to 4 more years, maybe give or take. I said I'll go into my early 70s. So now you can see the age here.
Yeah, yeah.
But my point is it's up to you guys to suck everything you can out of us older people.
Yeah.
More experienced people. How's that?
There
We're not
go.
old.
There
We're
go.
more experienced and seasoned. And same with you guys. I mean, anything I or we can do, I just want to give back. That's what people have done for me. I would never have the success I've had if it wasn't for some strong mentors and people when I was in my 20s and 30s and beyond who helped, gave me insight, guidance, and knowledge that helps me today.
Yeah.
And it's no different as a simple call I had today. I had a coaching call with a potential. And we started talking just a simple thing about banking. He's got one shop and he wants to get to 10. And I said, have you had a conversation with your bank? No. I said, well, let me talk to you about your bank and what you need to do. Okay. Hey, first off, your bank's a profit center.
Yeah.
Most people don't think it's an expense. My last year I had my business, I made over $25,000 off of my bank because I know how to use them. And with treasury accounts, I can go down the list of things. Second thing is when you start talking to simple thing, I said, go in and talk to the guy who's going to give you a loan to buy your next shop. Ask him how much he can improve on a loan. If he says I can do $400,000 before I got to go to loan committee, you're working with the wrong guy.
Right.
That guy doesn't have enough in his pocket to do what you need done. I want to talk to the guy who can approve $1.5 million, and I don't have to go to loan committee, because if I got to sell myself,
for sure,
I want to sell myself to just that one guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell it to him, and then he tries to have the same enthusiasm and excitement and present everything to the committee, because he'll never do it. So what do they got left? All they got are numbers and ratios, and then they're going to make a decision.
For sure.
And you might not have all the right numbers you want, but your enthusiasm with a good business plan is going to convince the one-on-ones. Right. That's the guy you want to talk to. If he can only do $400,000 when you're looking at a $750,000 buy, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Right. Well, and I mean that I found myself in that exact situation. That's a very valid point. You know, I was just talking to a girl that works for my bank. Real sweetheart. She helped do a lot of the paperwork. She's not a mortgage broker or anything like that. She's kind of the assistant in the background.
Right.
But she is the glue that holds it all together. Yep. Right. And so we had that exact conversation just the other day. Hey, I'm looking at doing some capital improvements. When I refi this, I know I have to refi this at some point.
Yep.
Tell me what we've got. Tell me what this looks like. And she said, hey, look, I can give you the numbers. And the numbers is the bank's overextended on commercial loans right now. And so they're a little nervous about them. And we've also had a bunch of commercial loans come back. So it's going to be harder to get that approval. And so I didn't have to know how to ask the questions.
Yes.
I just had to know who to ask. Right.
Amen.
And so a lot of guys are going out and building shops, and they're getting subpar rates. They're not they're going through a ton of stress and frustration because they don't know the questions to ask.
Yep.
So having somebody to guide you through that and to give you direction on how to do that, is that something the Institute does?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've done it, especially when it comes to some of the M&A work and the other things that people are trying to do. I've shared it more than once. I mean, just a simple 25 questions. Not all 25 questions are going to be applicable to the bank, but in some combination, and it's broken into 5 different segments, because obviously there's some just straight up depositories. There's always going to be reserves. There's going to be loans. So there's a series of questions. And it just helps to get a conversation going, and the right conversation. Yeah. And when you go in, and I even tell some of the clients we work with, send them the list early before the meeting. Say, these are the things I want to talk about.
Right.
Send them the 25 questions that we've put together. It's a simple thing, but it sparks the right conversation that, okay, Tom's coming in and knows a little bit more than the average person.
Right.
That's going to change, and they're going to look at you a little different, that you really do have your poop in a group, as they say.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it well. It just gets you up to a higher level of conversation, and sometimes it's going to get you to a better, commercial lender or on the commercial side inside the bank. Okay. So you have a better, and you're not talking to the low guy who can only approve that $400,000.
Right.
I want to talk to the guy up the chain a little.
And so you're not saying necessarily even change banks. You're saying you might find somebody else at that bank who can help more efficiently.
Sometimes you have to change banks, though.
Yeah.
I would change with a little podunk bank.
I would rather, because when I had my business, and even I'll use the Institute as an example. I mean, we left a very large, national bank with about $2 trillion in assets. We're now with a bank that's got $100 billion in assets that's regional to the area.
Right.
And part of the reason is, even though as we grow and we start having X million dollars in reserves and other things that we're going to have and do, and as we get to that point, we're going to mean something to them. And it's like I try to tell people, I mean, you don't realize as your numbers grow and your depositories grow, that becomes of greater value because it helps the bank's ratio, and the better the ratio is of what's on deposit to not, changes how much they can loan out.
Right.
And you're right, just as you said, if they got commercial loans at risk, that means they got to have bigger reserves by FDIC when the auditors come in. And I mean, I try to go into a really deeper dive on banking and even what goes on, because your bank can, if you work it right, and you're doing things the way you can do, it will become a profit center for you. They will pay you to put money in their bank.
That's pretty cool.
And there's so much that can be done by having the right conversation, but it's being loaded up with the right knowledge and questions and information.
Yeah.
But if you go to one of the large boys out there that's doing $2 trillion in assets, they don't care about
your small fries, no matter how big you get. They don't care about your couple $1 million.
Right. Or $3 million, depending on the size shops, or even if you're a multiple shop. But all of a sudden, you get a multiple shop, and you start running 5, 6, 8 million in depositories through them.
Right.
That changes their ratio. They can now loan more money out. That's how they make money. And now they'll do things to help you
Right, just to keep you there.
They'll start creating treasury accounts, sweep accounts, other things. I mean,
Right.
you can get really wild and crazy, and it can and it does make a difference to what you have and making money on it.
But the plans that the Institute has, in my mind, what's made Cecil unique is to me, his driving force has always been impact.
Right.
He wants to make an impact in the industry.
Correct.
You listen to absolutely any interview, podcast he's been on, whatever. That seems to be what he always, that's always been his guiding star, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But you guys now have very aggressive goals, right?
He's had them before. It's just how do we execute
Yeah.
and implement to get us to those next levels.
And that's my question. Every single time I've ever seen a shop, at least from my experience, every time the shop's wants to go from one location to 10, whatever, along the way, they seem to sell their souls to the devil. They make a deal. And sometimes it's...
But I was a kid of the 70s, so I've been seeing a lot of flashing lights. That was my high school days. So but we're not going to have that conversation. Edit that out.
Edit that out. So we lost power, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We lost power in a mega
I just want to explain this random cut that I'm going to have to slap in there in the middle of the conversation. Anyway, so what I was talking about is that I see so many of these shops, and I always remember this particular conversation I had with this sweet shop owner, nice family. They were out in the middle of sticks.
Yep.
The guy had signed up with ATI. And ATI, they put their cookie cutter like, hey, jack up the price and then do this, this, and this, and run these ads. And it works every single time. But it's a tire dealer or tire store business model, right? And sorry, we're not going to get sponsored by them anytime soon.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyway, and it wasn't working for him.
Yeah.
And he ends up joining the mastermind group that we had started, and this was like, I think 2019, something like that. And we're bouncing ideas off each other. And in my mind, I want to be able to grow the business and do things in a moral, ethical, and decent way and what really resonated was that everybody wins mindset that Cecil has.
Yes.
Everybody's got to win, including the vendors. How many times you have to go back to the vendor and go, squeeze them for another 10% or whatever, right? And I was the vendor at one point selling parts. I don't know how often I would have to sit there and argue with these shops and go, dude, the price, I can't squeeze anything more out of this. Like, you want me to deliver the part and have it in stock and warranty it? No. And so, in my mind, we should be able to grow the business up and have it be done in the right way.
Yes.
And we're going through all this, and I remember very distinctly, he looks at me and he goes, man, I just want the boat. Yeah. I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care how. I want to get the boat. I want to have the nice car. I want to have the big house. I want to have a lot of money in the bank account. How it gets there, it's whatever. The mindset, there's just a subset of these shop owners. That's how they operate. And they all put the facade up. Of we care about our people. I was listening to an interview of a extremely successful shop owner in California. Just absolutely killing it. I mean, she's murdering it. She's doing awesome. And she talks about building this culture of accountability and excellence in the business. And she's saying all the right things.
Right.
But at the same time, if one of her people isn't up to snuff, they're gone.
Yeah.
Because there's 15 more behind them.
Right.
And how do you keep everybody from running off? Oh, it's fine. We stock up our break room with big screen TV, cushy chairs, unlimited snack bar, all the drinks that you want. We go to nice fancy dinners for Christmas. I give out cash as bonuses, just random throughout the day. And it's okay, that's all great. But at the same time, you really don't care about them.
Yeah. Where's your value? Where's the true value?
The value is as long as you're producing. The minute you stop producing, it's like, okay, did something die? Did somebody die? Did something happen? No? Okay, then why aren't you producing? And if you're not producing by next week, I'm replacing you with Bob, and Bob will be taking over your job.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to ask you, these lofty goals that the Institute has, how do you not lose your soul in the process of pushing higher and higher revenues? How do you not become the rah-rah, the hype guy trying to just drive revenue with simple, all else, being what it is?
A simple thing that I have used in my past life when I had my own businesses and did obviously what I'm doing now, but I did it for myself, is I would always have conversation with my team members, employees, what have you, and we would discuss goals and ambitions. So, I'll use, who our marketing manager is, and Stu. And I can remember, I'm using Stu as an example, but I sat down in the first month I was at the Institute. I said, Stu, tell me what your goals are. Young man, good education, you got your MBA.
Yeah.
I know there's more in the tank than what you're doing with the Institute today. And he goes, if I get the opportunity, I would love to be the chief marketing officer of a Fortune 500 company. I said, it's good to know, Stu. In my career, I've worked with those people. I know some of those people who are still doing it today. Yeah. And I can tell you a little of what it's going to take on your career path. You're not going to go from the Institute to that. There's going to have to be things. So my job is, being that you're in your 20s, is knowing what I know is I'm going to invest and we're going to help build you into what you need to be.
Yeah.
Now, if we can do that, and we can do that for a number of years at the Institute, that's awesome. But there's going to come a point that as you grow in your skills and knowledge and experience, there's only going to be so much we can offer. So we've got to be willing to say, I'm going to invest in you, Stu, for your next job.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds crazy, but think of what I just did. If we start doing that with everybody that works at the Institute, and you do that at any business, and you get known in the marketplace, go here because they care about their people. They're going to invest in you. They're going to grow you. They're going to develop you. And you're going to have an opportunity to get a job better than maybe they can offer you. Do you know how many applications we're now going to have behind when that person leaves?
Sure.
Because we've got that reputation of truly caring and taking care of.
Yeah.
Now, why it's always hard to say goodbye and you go, man, now I got to replace. If we're any kind of a human and we got any kind of a heart, aren't we going to stand up and say, Lucas, congratulations. I am so happy that you've been able to do something bigger and better than we could ever offer you.
Yeah.
That says something about us and our character. And if we maintain that and we truly believe in better business, better life, better industry, we will do it. And then others will say, I want to get my resume into them too because I see what they did for their people.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep focused on what's right. That's how you don't lose your soul.
Yeah.
Because if you focus on the people and humans around you and do the right thing, you will end up with better people, good people to replace, and you will grow. And what's that employee going to say that left? Work here. He's going to tell anybody and everybody they know, that was a great place I worked. One of the things, and it's interesting if you guys like sports much, as an example.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Take football. How many times you sit there and look, because football has so many coaches in so many different positions doing so many different things.
Yeah.
And you always look at it and they start talking about like the Bill Belichick coaching tree. All the coaches who are offensive, defensive coordinators, position coaches, whatever, that have been out are now head coaches themselves.
Yeah.
And he's got a very prolific coaching tree. And there's other coaches, not just him, but I just use him as an example. And when you sit there and you listen to those head coaches, I mean, if you leave a position coach to be an offensive coordinator, who's not going to be happy for you?
Yeah, for sure.
And unless our offensive coordinator quits and leaves, I can't advance you to that. So eventually you're going to have to leave. So let me do the best I can, because you never know how all that comes around. And it's same with your offensive or defensive coordinator who
comes full
gets an
circle
opportunity
later
to be a head coach.
Yeah.
So you look at it, and the thing I would tell staff, if someone's leaving us to take an even position and they take a lateral move, I'm unhappy with me.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do the right things. If you've you're leaving us to go to a position we can't offer because that position isn't open, how can you be unhappy for them if you don't, if you aren't caring for your people?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's got to be the driving force. And we talk about it. I talk about it. I try to live it and preach it internally all the time. Let's build our bench. Let's make us all stronger. And if you get the opportunity to go do it somewhere else at a higher position and does this for your family, come on. I want to be that good human and go, congrats. And I'll be the first one to help you and support you wherever you go, whenever you do, because that's what raises the whole industry up.
Yeah. So, but how do you balance that with, at the end of the day, the revenue's got to be there, though?
Sure.
So how do you balance the two? You want to invest in these people, but let's say one's lagging behind a little bit.
I look at it in a very simple way. A good mentor of mine years ago, and he says, and I've used this analogy still, you got to look at it like school. There was a time we were all in high school. We learned everything we can learn, and we graduated from high school. And we went to the next thing. Maybe it's to tech school, maybe it's to college, it's something, but we went on to learn more. And I've used it that if we got someone in our company and we taught and we worked and we developed and we've taught them everything we can teach them and they're just not growing, we need to graduate you.
Yeah.
And that graduation is we did everything we could. We wish you the best. You need to graduate from us and find another company to continue your education, and it ain't going to be with us. Right. And it's a simple thing, but that analogy is fit so well.
Yeah.
Because we have to realize there's only three things that happen in our career when you work for an employer or you are the employer of an employee. The company's going to grow, and the employee grows, and we're both growing together, and we're being better. Sometimes the employee's growing, and they're doing better than us, and they're growing faster than us. That's when they got the opportunity to go to the next job that we can't offer them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes we outgrow the employee. We've taught them everything we can do. We've developed them as far as we can take them. Yeah. But then you got to be honest with yourself and say, we appreciate everything you've done, but we can't teach you anymore. We've come to the end. You need to graduate to the next job, the next opportunity.
I think a lot of shop owners, like the situation David's talking about, over time they can become insulated from the emotion of it, right? Mm-hmm. They can become insulated, and so that's a KPI to them. It's a number to them. And so
unfortunately,
it's not made based on the fact this is a human being. The decision is made based on the fact that this KPI is not where it's supposed to be. Thank you very much. I appreciate your service. Goodbye. Right? And I think that's what bothers a lot of us when it's not about you've reached your potential with us. Maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe it is a good fit. Maybe you're becoming toxic. Maybe you're not. Neither here nor there. The point is like it's hard for us to not be connected to them because we work with them closely, right?
It is.
It's people first. But so many people end up disconnected and they say, well, I'm not in the shop anymore. I'm an absentee owner, or maybe I'm only there every once in a while. And it doesn't really matter to me because I don't have a personal connection to them. What I get out of this is more important than what they get to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think, though, at the same time, and that was a fantastic analogy, by the way. Fantastic. I'm going to use that. I'm going to run with it. I'm not kidding. I think you get emotionally invested in the person.
Yeah.
You put so much time and effort. At some point, they quit on you, and you refuse to quit on them.
Yeah.
They have lagged behind in their effort to keep, like you're saying, the company's growing. You need them to keep up. At some point, they decide they're not going to. For whatever reason.
True. That's
just lack of motivation, or maybe they're just disinterested, or they've moved on to other
personal
interests, whatever.
things going on. I mean, we all have stuff, and
you end up wanting it more than they do.
Yes.
And you cannot let it go.
No.
And that's really difficult for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I want it. It's like, I don't want to give up on you. But at the same time, you gave up on you, and you've given up on me. And so I got to let you go.
When I know I'm to a point with someone, I use it a lot. I will sit down with a coworker and we're starting to have a conversation. We know that, look, we've been on the struggle bus. We're seeing the numbers, we're seeing the metric, KPIs. We know that everything isn't everything it needs to be.
Yeah.
And usually at that point, I will, if it's close the door, or even say, let's just run to the street, down the street to a coffee shop. And we'll just sit. And the first thing I'll always ask, and then it's hard to listen, but listen. Yeah. And I'll ask a simple question. I'll go, David, are you happy? And just listen. Don't answer for him and say, are you happy? Because I've seen you've been doing this and this. No, now you're planning a response. Yeah. But if you just ask the question and then stop and don't say why I'm asking if you're happy, you'll find something interesting that'll start to come out. And silence is a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And one of the other tricks that I've learned and the things I coach people to do is when you get in a challenging conversation like that and you ask that question, count to 5. Don't say anything, because that awkward silence will get the person to talk.
Yeah.
More times than not, they won't sit there for 5 seconds in silence. It'll get awkward and they'll start talking. If you can get them to start talking, you'll be amazed what starts coming out.
Yeah.
And you'll get to where you can start to build on that and start asking, well, why? And it's not that you're trying to dive into their personal life, but maybe they're not getting along with one of the other guys in the back. Tom and I used to get along, but for whatever reason, David, I don't know, we're sideways and it's been hard. Okay, well, tell me why it's been hard. Let's get it out there. Or what do you think would help to get it done? And if you can, and instead of saying, well, I'm going to go do this and fix the problem, this and that, you want people to also own the problem. Because if there's an issue between you and the other person, or this isn't going right, or maybe you don't have the right training, whatever, ask a simple question. Well, what suggestion do you have? Because if you can get them to articulate what they think it takes to fix it, and it fits, what needs to happen, well, if they voice it, they got to now own it.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're trying to force it out of them, but anytime you get people to start saying, I think we need to do this, and here's what we'll fix this, and here's how we can change that, or, you know what, David, I think here's a new process, what have you. As soon as they start to articulate it, what's the thing you can come back to them in 30 days and say, remember when we sat and talked about this and you said, not that you're trying to call them out, but it's just like there's ownership here.
Yeah.
So how can we continue to build on this? It's not to, say, well, you said you're going to do it. No. Remember when we had that conversation? What can I do now to help bridge the gap and keep it going?
Yeah.
You committed to X. What can I do to support you in that?
Yeah.
How can we get you to where we need to be so we can grow and hit the numbers, not have those down weeks where all of a sudden someone wants to get rid of you or anything else. But it's like anytime you can get that collaboration and cooperation and get the communication going, because one of the things I did, we have our, weekly tips and pro tips, and I've been doing a series on leadership, and part of it comes down to communication. And getting that clarity and getting that understanding is the fastest way to grow and change. But I find when you get in a conversation, the best ideas don't come from the front office. They come from the back shop.
Sure.
If you can get them talking and truly listen.
Yeah.
But how many times do we want to jump in and micromanage? It's like, I hear you, but let's get back to work because we need to do this and this and this. Give it that extra 5 minutes and you might be amazed what all of us can pull out of people. That's and you get some genius ideas of moves the needle.
Yeah.
That was a long answer for a simple question.
Well, what do you think, David? Do you think it's like you're going to start growing the shop again?
No, I don't. No.
We're gonna replicate and we're gonna make 20 more.
No, I can imagine owning 20.
No.
20 problem children.
Let me grab my wallet. Let's get it started. Let's get going. Don't say no. It's not no. It's just not now. Let's figure it out. Come on, man. Let's go. Rock and roll.
The biggest issue for me is that I've completely lost any interest in cars and car related issues. And I've said this 1,000 times. It's not the people. It's not the customers. It's not the business, the industry. I love all that. This is all great. It's the goddamn cars. Those stupid pieces of crap do not want to get fixed ever.
I think you're too emotionally connected to it. How many times do I have to say that? You're too close to it.
at the end of the day, like, you still have to, like, that's your product. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your product. It's like if I made burgers and you saying you're too emotionally connected to the burger. No, that they came here to buy the burger. Like, I got to make the burger. And what if you don't make the burger? What if you hand them a bun and lettuce and go, this is the best I could do?
I understand.
Okay, well, the customer would be upset and go, okay, I know you bought a burger, but I couldn't do the burger, so here's some buns. This is what we deal with on a daily basis. Like, hey, I burnt the burger today. Sorry. Hey, turns out I ran out of meat. Sorry. Like, every day, there's always a flipping problem with the product. The product. And not that I don't have great chefs. I have great chefs.
Yep.
I have great order takers. I have great chefs. The front staff's great. Back staff's great. Everything's great. I have great vendors. They bring me great buns, great meat, whatever. Something goes wrong with the fucking burger. Always.
It's not always.
It's always. It's always. And sometimes it's not even my fault. I hand them the burger. They're walking outside. They drop the burger on the floor. Birds come down and eat the burger. And then they come back in. They're like, it was fine when I left here. Okay. So what makes you think the problem's mine? You dropped the burger. This is what I have to deal with every single time. I'm not saying it's your fault, but ...
You know, this is taking you a whole different direction. But one of the things I did on the side, I officiated football. Did it for almost 30 years. I had the privilege to high school, college, did playoff games. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah. I've been in front of very, very big crowds where everybody hates the refs. You know how it is.
Yeah.
And the emotion that comes. So I listened to your passion.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say emotion, but I listened to your passion. And you know what sports are like. We all watch it on TV and you see what goes on and the energy that it's being expended into it. And now there's a lot of dollars that are out there at college and pro level. But my point is that when you have that opportunity to be in that pressure cooker of that situation,
right?
When you know, and I've been on the field where we've made calls, replay looks at it, you blew it, you missed it, you get it. I've had to apologize to coaches. I can't take it back. It's happened. We've moved on.
Yeah.
You learn how to deal with the fallen burger a lot differently.
Really?
You really do. And I've told this to people. I've told this to people. It is probably one of the better growing experiences of how to apply different things in business by being engaged in sports at that level. Because you realize, I'm going to go out, the typical college football game is going to be about 150 plays. There's going to be somewhere around 20 to 25 penalties, sometimes less, sometimes more during the game. Someone's not going to be happy. Never fails. Never fails.
Very true.
And it's no different than that. And you learn how to kind of deal with people one of the stories I've done when I've done presentations, and they're talking about conflict resolution and different things. And I said, we're doing a college game. Guys, first and goal. We threw a holding penalty. We backed it up. Didn't get his touchdown. Had to get a field goal. We're lining up for the kickoff. Coach is still unhappy. He knows we can't change it.
Yeah.
And he's over here, and I'm on the sideline. He's chewing on me, and he's yelling about the call that was made by our officiating crew. After a while, I listened, and he made one comment that gave me room to break the anger or the emotion, the passion.
Sure.
And he goes, we lost all our momentum. And he did. Because as soon as they backed it up 10, he lost his momentum. He didn't get his touchdown. He said that, and he paused just for a second, and I turned to him, and I said, Coach, you're right. You did. I agreed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, and so I just turned back, getting ready for the kickoff. He literally slapped me on my ass and said, I'm glad you understand, and walked away.
Right.
So what was the person asking when the hamburger fell on the ground? Were they asked for another hamburger? They know they can't get another hamburger.
Yeah.
They just want somebody to understand.
Yeah.
And that's all that coach wanted, was to vent, yell, complain, and have someone finally say, Coach, I understand. You did lose all your momentum. It took all the energy out of him. He stopped, literally did, slapped me on my ass, glad you understand, and walked up the sideline, and we got ready for the kickoff.
Maybe, just maybe, you're like...
I did sorry to interrupt you, but I did a class one time, and if you leave somebody on hold for too long, you pick up the phone and you immediately say, I left you on hold for a very long time, didn't I? And then they immediately, like you're saying, immediately breaks the ice, neutralizing. They go, well, yeah, you did. Say, well, I apologize. I didn't mean to do that.
You took all the steam out.
You took all the
passion, all that energy. That's all people want.
Here's the thing: is I believe that what's going on is you're actually in limbo somewhere in the middle, and it's that you're not connected enough, but not disconnected enough, and so you're right there in the middle where you know about every car and you know about everything that's happening.
I don't know about every car. You know, the car represents X amount of dollars, and then so for things to work, X amount of dollars have to come in. That means Y amount of cars have to leave. And if there's some kind of weird variable in there, now if I've got an additional overflow in there, like, I've got some fluff in there because we're stacked up and we're busy, great. August and September are unbelievably stressful for me because we slow down every single year right around start of the school year.
You've been stressed all
every
along.
single year.
But wait a minute.
Sometimes you got fluff.
If every year you slow down in August and September, what were you doing in May?
Well, this year I saved the money. That's what I did.
What were you doing from marketing, promotion, and other things in May and June and July
even if
that leads up to get you car counts? It's coming.
But I just want to know why he was pissed off in January and February and March and April and May and June and July. Like, is there a different one for each month?
Just like
there's pissed off and then there's pissed off and stressed. But it's not. It's
there is a difference. That's true. There is a difference.
I have like doubled and tripled the ad spend. Doesn't make us seem a bit. Now I'm not saying that we take a dip in sales. We don't. We grow year over year. But if you compare my July sales to my September sales, and every single year my September sales to October sales, there's always this whoop, and you're like, and so I'm just saying that if the car doesn't leave, like, hey, that's payroll this week,
right?
Like, let's get this car out. Yeah, but we have to order this part. It's 2 weeks out. Why did we have to order this part? Well, we didn't know it was broken until we got in there. Okay. It's just variable, so you just cannot
I will say,
account for.
I will say the family business has way less drama in that sense.
See, I want to sell ice cream.
And it's easier to put money
Makes
back.
people happy.
No, I mean, they still fuss and complain just as much.
Oh, yeah.
It makes no
do.
difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
They complain just as much, if not more, because it's a cheaper product. They complain more about that than they do. But the difference is like...
What is it that Disney does? People have no problem. The joke right now is that like people are completely broke, but they want to go drop the $7,000. My wife and I added up what we spent the last time we went to Disney. We haven't been to Disney in a while. But the last time we went to Disney, it would have been cheaper for us to fly to flippin' Japan, go to the Japanese Disney park, stay there for a week, and then fly back. It would have been cheaper than going to flippin' Florida and go to Disney World. How does that make any sense? And yet people are willing to go deep into debt.
They are.
For what?
An experience.
I don't get what, though.
I know. But again,
staying in line for 2 hours
we can,
for a crappy ride.
As we keep going into the circle on different things, but when you bring a car in and all the things, it's still an experience. Yeah. And it can be a stressful experience. If it was, if you're dealing with a break fix type thing, it won't start. Everything was great until that morning it went out and it wouldn't start. They don't know what it's going to cost. I mean, how stressful is it? Is it a battery for $200, or is it a starter, this, that, and everything else? Who knows where it takes you? Mm-hmm. And you know how that can go when you start to test. And when that happens, maybe it took a control module. Maybe this happened, that happened.
Yeah.
the stress. So what can we do to change that experience, to bring it into where it does make it in? You're never going to make it a happy place, as they say. But, how can we change that? And that even when they come back, that ends up being that great experience still. And you acknowledge what they're going through.
I've been spending more and more time looking into hospitality in auto repair. Right? And so we tend to miss that. There's a great book, Unreasonable Hospitality.
I was just going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the book.
Right?
Yeah.
And the whole concept is to go above and beyond. And it's not...
Deliver the unexpected.
Exactly. And it's not complex. It's not that it's hard, but you can make that a competitive advantage in your business, right? And it creates a different outcome in those scenarios he's talking about. It creates a different type of environment. When we go so far over the top when something goes wrong to fix it and make it right, and they feel like we're attacking the problem, all of a sudden they're like, wow, I didn't expect that, right? Just 2 weeks ago, I had a telephone call with a gentleman. He was really upset about a payment process that we have. He was very frustrated. Initially, the process was broken in one of his initial interactions with our staff. And then they went back and they enforced the process in the second part of the interaction. In other words, we don't accept payments from new clients via a remote portal because you can be charged back on that very easily.
And so there's a clawback you got to watch.
And so we want to make sure that this is somebody that we actually know, somebody we actually trust. And so when we did that, we engaged with that. We had a situation where a small chargeback came in. The dude was absolutely trying to fraudulently charge back. Wasn't anything we had done wrong. And so my team and I are talking about it. So it was just a reminder. Well, it just happened to happen in the middle of this guy's visit. And so now all of a sudden the process was enforced when it wasn't initially enforced, right? And, I called him up and he said, wow, he said, I asked for the owner to call me, but I didn't think the owner would actually call me. And I said, yeah, I'd love to understand what's going on. And I just explained
Don't let him fool you. He leans into those conversations. He likes to make people uncomfortable. He's hardcore confrontational. I have no problem with it whatsoever.
And so, I have the conversation with the guy and I talked through it. And I said, well, what can I do to make this right? And he said, well, you've already done it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I just wanted to be heard. I want somebody to listen to me.
Amen.
And I think that we can create a different type of experience if we'll just slow down a little bit and listen.
You're always going to have that one or two. It doesn't make a difference what you say. You can listen. You can do all the right things. They'll never be happy.
Amen.
And that's okay.
Amen.
And I tell it to staff all the time, but also I tell them, when I had my own company, look for every opportunity to do that little extra that's unexpected. Because it becomes something that's meaningful. And it becomes something that's remembered. And that's what creates those connections.
Absolutely.
And, it's interesting, some of the research that's being done. I'm of the baby boomer generation. I'm very loyal. You got to screw me 3 or 4 times before I'm going to say I'm done with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll keep coming back, even though you've screwed me over once, twice, 3. Eventually I'll stop. My kids, who are millennials in between that, in their 30s and 40s, they're more price conscious. They're not going to tolerate some of the things. But now what's even more interesting, you start getting in the next generation that's coming into their 20s. They're looking for those relationships again. They're looking for those connections.
I see that. I definitely see that.
Because they grew up with COVID in school as they were finishing college, what have you, and now they're out. They're looking for people to connect with. They're looking for businesses to connect with. You give them something a little extra, they're showing loyalty that the older generation didn't. That's in between. And it's fascinating. So I think the time is ripe in our industry, especially the service industry that we are, to deliver on those things, give something a little extra. It's just paying attention.
Amen.
Just paying attention and listening. Just give them that extra 2-3 minutes. It's amazing what you can get, and especially with CRM systems and the things that you can put in. You know how much you can put in there that personalizes it, that now gives you more power to use that data in ways that connects in other ways? Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great time to be in this industry. When people think it's not, I'm going to argue with you. It's a great time to be in the industry.
A lot of opportunity right now. A lot of opportunity.
Selling ice cream? Nah, they're still going to be unhappy. Sorry, David.
All right. Wayne, thanks for being here, buddy.
All right. Guys, it was great. I enjoyed.